The Syrian Association for Citizen Dignity is actually a grassroots civil rights movement that was established on the premise that the voice of the refugees and IDPs has to be heard when the political solution for Syria is being shaped. Refugees and IDPs are currently the largest constituency in Syria. We're almost 13 million people inside and outside Syria, and we believe that a voluntary, safe, and dignified return has to be the premise for any sustainable solution, political solution in Syria that should include robust mechanisms to guarantee and to monitor the implementation of such solutions. Based on that, we established a movement, a popular movement, a bottom-up organization that focuses on building legitimacy, mobilization, advocacy, raising awareness, and most importantly, performing effective political communication with policymakers and decision makers in order to influence and shape up the solution, the final, definitive, political solution in Syria.
You're here today, you're in Brussels, and you've met with the EU team. What is your message to the EU as a whole and to its individual constituent countries, many of which are already hosting refugees from Syria?
I mean, first of all, we would like to tell them that our mission as an association is to get our people back, and we're asking them to help us get our people back to Syria. Of course, thanking them in first place that they have hosted them for so long and in such a good condition. But basically, if we look into policies, we think that the current positioning of the EU in terms of no political solution, no reconstruction, we think that that premise is excellent. But we expect the EU to be more proactive and use that leverage in order to pressure Russia and other players in Syria to really make dramatic and effective changes in Syria that will help shape up the safe return. Another thing, the EU targeted sanctions are working, and they had good effect in terms of preventing businessmen, organizations, and even the regime itself from profiting from laws that are entitling the regime to confiscate lands, properties that belong to refugees and IDPs. So we do encourage that line for sure.
We've seen the US move in a direction that was really, in a sense, abandoned the northern Syria. Are you expecting the EU to step in? It's relatively weak in military terms. What more can it do?
I think North Syria is a difficult terrain for EU to be honest and pragmatic, and we don't think that the US has totally abandoned North Syria. Again, I think EU's biggest leverage is really the reconstruction part, their principled positioning regarding the solution in Syria, the way they're hosting refugees so far, and the sanctions they're applying against the regime and people affiliated to the regime benefiting from the misery of refugees and IDPs, and that's a huge role. I'm not underestimating that role in no form or shape, but we also think that the EU can play a big role in supporting civil society in North Syria, and not use or not fall into the pretext of fighting terrorism in order to cut off assistance from civil society, because civil society is paying the price for such policies. So I think this is another area where the EU can look into improving their policies.